Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. How are we?
I am very tired. How was your weekend?
Um, uh, not in any issues, but not entirely in the direction I wanted it to go into. But sometimes things overtake you, like we know, families and various other things. And with me, if I wake up in a grump, it does have an effect on my day. You see, we're not, we sit here talking about upliftment and things like that. But what's been going through my head just lately is like actually looking at your reality and how it's influenced by other things on the outside, your family and your everything, your responsibilities and things like that. And so all I look at is how can I implement the things that we discussed. And the truth is that we're human beings living this spiritual experience, and we don't get it right. But what we do get is constant feedback. So it's sometimes just going, right, what would I say if somebody has put that on my toes? And I think what we're going to do, as we discussed off air there, is build a framework around what I've spoken about quite a lot of thanking all teachers. So there's a lot here that we're going to get into the meat of it. We're having a shortened show today because we've both got commitments elsewhere. And we'll see, with you guys' permission and your indulgence, where we go with this.
So I have a funny little thing to tell you. So Grumpy Sapper, you can see in the chat, he said something about guessing your tie wrong. He's been predicting the color tie that you're going to wear every Monday, and he's been right every day. Is there green on your tie? There's a little bit of green on your tie, yes?
No. Right. This is pure gold. And the reason that you might get a little bit of green is because if you've got anything that goes against your green screen, which is what I'm sat in front of, and you haven't quite got the balance right, then the colour green will actually show through the image. So this is all an image background here that's sat behind me. That's projected onto a green screen. So I can't wear anything that's green when you're working with a green screen because you disappear.
Okay.
So on this occasion, sadly, no. But I will say this to you, Grumpy, that green is actually my favourite colour.
Geniuses pick green, you know that?
Oh,
Yeah, geniuses will pick green, but he did get right having a vat of coffee. This was a vat of coffee. It's as big as my head, you can see. I needed that this morning. I had a late night client last night, one of my favorite clients, and I spent most of the day, as one does on Sunday. Most people have Sunday fun day, but I'm like a lunatic doing floors and cleaning floors and bathrooms. So it's basically just how my day goes sometimes. So but it was a good weekend. Energetically, it finally stopped raining here. The weather has such a profound effect on everyone's energetics, and the weight of rain and moisture really does kind of pull people down energetically and say just kind of get on the couch and replenish, which I think is good. But one of our friends came over, he stopped by because it was a lovely day. And he said, well, it's been raining for 3 weeks. And it hasn't been raining for 3 weeks, but it's been a little bit dreary. But so for today, we're still loosely talking about Rhonda Byrne's books and the energetics. And I of course have my Kyle Gray raise your vibration deck. So I want to pull a card for everybody. But today we were going to talk about the power of love in manifestation. Now, Rick and I are not like I don't want to say we're not typical, but we're not as saccharine sweet as some of the other energetic therapists out there. And I think that really does set us apart because there's a practicality to it. And I've been amongst peers in the industry that, I mean, years ago I smoked, and, they're, oh, you smoke, like you can't be, you can't be uplifted. Really? Well, like, then, okay, you breathe, disgusting air in New Jersey. So you too. Oh, you eat meat. Oh, you don't eat organic. There's a practicality that you have to take into consideration. No one is going to wake up every single day and say, I am happy and I don't care what happens. So, I mean, and that's coming. I'm in a toxic positivity phase, and I've branded myself with that toxic positivity. I'm gonna just be positive in the face of no matter what. And it really is um a battle sometimes, because not everybody is happy. Not everybody is going to be toxic, toxically positive. I mean, if we were, we'd all be, like Prozac Nation, and just like kind of walking around like super happy and medicated. So, what Rick and I bring to the table is, like, you can have a bad day. Like, I have bad days. I know Rick has bad days. Like, you can have a bad day where you're not in sync energetically with all that's good and happy and healthy. And I think thanking all teachers, like, and I just love that theme from you. And that, like, I totally give that over to you. Like, that's something that I've heard you say time and time again. And I think it is such a great message, because you can have that terrible person in your life, and in your life contract, when you're transitioning into a new incarnation, your that life contract, the soul contract that you've created, may have some negative things there. You may have to deal with blowback, like, for example, I know that, so I'm getting certified as a past life therapist right now. We can't call ourselves therapists in New Jersey, so they'll because of the laws. But I'll have a different moniker once I'm done. But I know, and, like, it sounds terrible, I was a gold digger in a past life. I was absolutely a gold digger in a past life, and I don't want to say you know stole money from people, but I would weasel people out of money. I would wheedle my way into situations that would get me money that I didn't earn, and then kind of scamper out of it. Now, I don't think I was like a black widow or anything like that, but I certainly was a gold digger. I was someone that jumped from husband to husband, and just kept kind of extracting from them, which, am I paying some debt to that in this lifetime? I think I am. I think I am. I think I've kind of met the requirement in a couple of relationships. I had a couple of relationships that were financially inequitable. Let's put it that way. So, and I think I've managed to kind of sidestep that. I was a grumpy. No, I don't think I wore mini skirts, but I think I was wearing corsets. So, if that gives you any concept of the time period. I do think it was more of a Edwardian or Victorian time period. So, being positive and thanking the teachers, those individuals that took advantage of me financially or tried to me, thanking them for helping me recover from that past lifetime is sometimes a little bit difficult. But I do think that it's beneficial, and sometimes we have to kind of walk that walk and go, but so and so was detrimental to my terrestrial existence, but was really beneficial to my supernatural and energetic experience. So, what are your thoughts on that? On this, I don't. Again, like, I don't expect people to be, toxically positive the way that I'm trying to be right now, and that's an experiment. But to infuse the relationships, even the bad ones, with love, how do you manage that? Because especially because of your old career, That's a little tricky. You know, if you had a prison full of teachers, like it's a little tricky to love them. They're a little prickly sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely. I left the prison service. We're coming up 11 years this year, and there's still scars from it. There is still things there that they're not so much open wounds anymore, but they certainly have a bearing on certain instances when I'm around people that unfortunately there are certain, and I realize now I'm also reading their energy where I do stereotype people and put them in little boxes. And I have to remind myself that before I jump these days, that I'm out of that business. I'm out of that pressure cooker of an environment. So I give people chances. But the thing is with me, I don't give you second chances. Your first chance and your energy impression that you bring to me will say to me how I'm going to react. And I'm not saying that I'm sitting here in any point of judgment whatsoever, but I value my time a lot more than I have done in the past. So if somebody comes and they want to sort of enforce their will onto me or bring in any negativity or anything like that, I will listen to the story like I do with anybody. And then what I'll do is I'll just go, right, I'm going to stop you there and then just move away from it. So the origin of this, where did it all come from, was at the beginning, one of my, I don't know what you'd call her, a mentor, if you like. She kept me in line when I started going around initially to church services and things like that. So she had a job on her hand, because if you know me or see how I am a gob on a stick. Right? I talk incessantly. I say the wrong things. I'm inappropriate. I don't essentially mean to be, but once it's said, you can't take it back. So going into church places where you've got people that are kind of like established in their ways and their beliefs and things like that, I sort of turned around and went, what the hell are you letting me in there for? Because I'm bound to say something wrong. And she kind of like kept me on the straight and narrow with it. Well, one of the consistent things with her was this thing called pink blankets. Right. And I used to say to her, right, pink blankets, I don't quite understand that. She said, everything that you learn from, every experience that you have, even if it's not a pleasant experience, send the person love. Imagine them wrapping them in a pink blanket of love. She said, now, it can either be that genuine concern where you want to give them that love and that upliftment and put that light so that they're not feeling put upon, or you can strangle them with it. It's your choice, your perception. And she also used to talk about that people that come to me, when you get the doors open and you start dealing with problems and you start finding out what's behind the storyline, she used to have this great little trick, and she'd say to you, so you've had some trauma in your life, haven't you? And you've kept it bottled up because you don't want to upset people and you don't want to be irritating and annoying to them. But it's like having prison cell doors in your head. Behind those doors is like a lot of noise. And if we're keeping control of it, those doors just keep banging. It's just sometimes every day when we have this little knock and something comes out, it's like the lunatics are then running the asylum and everything's running around anywhere. So she said, you will spend your time trying to put things right. She said, now this is what I say. She said, I want you to think of that person that you've got a problem with, an issue with, what you're angry about, what you're upset about, why you felt like you was mistreated, you was in the wrong place, all of the rest of it like that. And she says it's one of those situations that if it's a family, you can't always say exactly what you meant because of the repercussions of what will happen if you gob off. Mm-hmm. So she said, what I do is I imagine a pink cushion, because pink is love from the spiritual world. It's all about upliftment and it raises that vibration. She says, and then I want you to imagine on this pink cushion is a photograph of that person that you can that you've had an issue with. She said, take a few seconds to visualize that person's face on that cushion. She said, take it somewhere. It can be in the privacy of your own room if you're lucky enough to have a wide open space that you can go into. Take your cushion with you and imagine that person's face placed neatly on that cushion, and then give it some therapeutic counseling. Because what it does is it breaks the pattern, the anger, the frustration and things like that. without you literally doing anything to sort of physically affect somebody. Now, my thought is with it, well, that's brilliant, because as energy workers and therapists, essentially what a lot of the work that we do is breaking somebody's current state of behavior. So tarot and readings and mediumship connection are completely different to what a therapist does, because a therapist deals with that real life issue that's there in front of you. So even if it's a past life issue, there'll be a backstory to it. So when somebody comes and I'm being influenced by this, and I'm having this stress and I'm having this anxiety, for me, your duty as a therapist is to bring that person down to a level vibration so that they can breathe, so that they can function. And sometimes you have to do some daft things to get their mind out of that state of emotional upheaval.
Yeah.
Once you can do that, you can get them on that ground level. So one of my readings at the weekend was one from this lady. And I said to her, and it's much like you said at the beginning, one of my bugbears, and it's a big bugbear with me when I'm reading at shows and things like that, is what I call the candy floss readers. They come up there and they drum up all of these wonderful things that are going to happen to you and all of this sort of stuff, but they don't make the client accountable for them. So when you go outside, you're going to win the lottery, right? Well, the odds and the statistics of that are quite out of this world. You might be lucky one day, and I hope everybody who goes in for it wins it. It's one of those. But the reality, being in the reality of your own life. So I always say to people, I help you structure. So I said to this lady, so I listened to her story, 10 children, right? So I says, well, you've got something about you that's had 10 children. I said, so you'll know how to mother and you'll know how to look after certain circumstances. But let's cut to the chase. Why are you sat in front of me today? Well, I could do with some. And you know, I'm not really sure. I went, you picked the wrong reader. I says, because I'm going to come at you. I'm going to make you accountable for these choices. But what I consider when I'm reading for anybody is that everybody who spends £1 with me has had to go out and earn that pound somewhere. So they've invested their life's hours in earning that money. That money is then transferred across to me, which is an investment in me. So I want for that client the best return that they can get. So I say to them, what are you looking for? So tell me whether you want guidance. Tell me whether you want a mediumship connection. And she was saying that she didn't really know. And I said to her, well, I'll tell you what, if you're looking for that type of generalized reading, pick any one of these other 5 people in this room, because they're better placed than I am. I said, because I don't do candy floss readings. I make you responsible for whatever it is that you're looking to get. So I'm going to do this experiment with you. And it took 3 times for her to get it. I says, I am just going to click my fingers and I'm going to ask you this question. The question, I'll load it up for you. What do you need to know right now? Like that. First words out of your mouth. And she went, I don't know. I have to think. I went, right, you're not listening. I want to know what you need guidance and you need help on, what your inner being is telling you that you need structure for. Go. Oh, well, I've got learning difficulties. Right. You're not getting this, are you? Right. I don't want to hear negatives from you. If you've got learning difficulties, that's your thing. But you're not stupid, because you function every day for 10 kids. You maintain a relationship. You've got all of these responsibilities. So that for me doesn't stand up. Sorry. Well, I'm a bit thick. Right. Again, I'm not saying anything about that. You can't be thick. You can't be stupid, because evidence is proving different, but you're listening to this candy floss mind. Right. Let's start again. Let's bring your energy down. What do you need help with right here and now? Flick your fingers. She then came out with, I want to know why my parents treated me like they did. And I went, because that was in their blueprint. That was the blueprint that they wrote, that was the experience that they're going to have. They come down there, and then when they get back to the spirit world, in my humble belief, there's that chance of a review. You look at that, and then you look at where your next life path is that you're going to go down. And she went, yes. So I said, I'm going to ask you to do something very, very difficult for you, for yourself. and it isn't going to be easy, and it's not going to be candy floss, and it is going to take you into the trenches. I said, but in this moment, I'm here to hold that light for you as we go into the trenches. Right. I want you to just imagine and feel that moment where you first experienced that experience of being like you're let down, you're traumatized. I said, I don't want you to go back into the memory. I just want you to feel the feeling. Right. Is it something that you want to hold on to? No, because it felt really horrible. Right. We'll put it down then. And the way that you put it down is to say, thank you. Because if you only learn one thing from that traumatic experience, that every one of your kids that comes up to you, the only thing that you've learned from that crappy experience in your past life is that you don't want to be like that around your kids, then you've learned the lesson. Once you've learned the lesson, you can then let go of it. So you thank the teacher. I says, and I'm not sitting here like some sort of orderly on top of the pile telling you that that's the right way to go. What I'm saying to you is personal experience. When my father passed away, there was all sorts of emotions that were drummed up about what had happened, who said what to who. And in the end, my mum said to me, have you got any real positive memories? And I went, no, I'm struggling. So I thought, well, the one thing I can thank him for is what he did and how he was. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be known as being like that. So in my initial thoughts, in my initial states of grief, was that I don't want anything to do with that energy whatsoever. Now I've gone, right, I'll embrace all of that energy and I'm going to say thank you. But it's hard. It's traumatic. It is painful. But the reality is, and I want everybody to get this point into their head that's watching this, that is your reality outside. You can keep carrying the burden of who said what to who and all of the pain that you've experienced, or you can turn around and say, I'm not going to be like that in the future. I am not going to be tainted by this, because we've got a pathway for us to explore as well. We don't need any extra baggage. So this is about letting go, right? And I say this so many times to people because everything is energy. Don't be holding on to stuff that serve no purpose, right? Don't be going back into the past and looking for an answer, because the chances are that you are very intelligent people who have managed to negotiate your life without a lot of help from other people. So if you at that high level of intelligence have not found an answer, sad to say, there isn't one, right? So you come to that point where you hold this ball of crap in your hand and go, right, what am I going to do with this? I've tried polishing this turd. I've tried putting out love and light to it, and it's still there. It's in my hand. It's mucky and it's a turd. Right, so what do I want to do with it? Well, me personally, I don't want to stand there holding a turd in my hand for any longer than I have to. Bad enough cleaning up after the dogs. But at some point, you're going, right, I don't want this anymore. I don't like it. I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. Right, so it's giving me no positivity whatsoever. It's not selling itself to me at all. It's a pile of stinky poo. So the best thing that I can do with that is just go, right, thank you. I'm done with it. And leave it wherever it needs to go. I think the terminology, I'm not 100% on this, is transmuting. So you ask the angels, you ask your guides, you ask your spirit family to come down and transmute that energy, which is basically putting it through the laundry, getting rid of it. And then you don't keep going back to it, because it is so difficult. We can spend large portions of our life. And this is what I'm literally going through at the moment. When I've got that anger, when I've got that frustration in my heart, it was structured. I was using lots of my life hours to be angry at certain circumstances. Right? That's great. Right? I'm using a lot of energy to get what? Right. Do I want to be proven right? Well, in my own mind, I'm right. Is it evidence-based? Well, only to me. So how can I benefit anybody else? Well, I can benefit other people, because I can then turn around and go, this is a useless waste of time. Right. Move it forward. So we thank the teacher. Unpleasant circumstances, absolutely. Hurt, absolutely. Angry, absolutely. And then what? As we've discussed in the many times that we've come on here. And then what?
And then what?
My role in life is to stand there with people and go, I'm going through this shit. I'm dealing with this shit in reality, but I want to help each and every person that comes into my life, because I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in synchronicities. All of the projects that we're embarking on, all of the people that are coming in as a result of that, all of the people that are building this energy, right? If they're bringing in negativity, whether it's toxic positivity or negativity or anything like that, I want to learn the lesson very, very quickly, right? I want to know, what's the subplot? What do you want from me? Tell me the truth, because I'm busy. In my head, it never shuts off. So I'm moving on down that line. So get rid of any of the turds in your life. Don't let people be that turd in your punch bowl, right? You know, it's no good to you. But also be in your reality that at some points in your life, you're not going to have the answers. You're not gonna get up all sunshine and rainbows. You know, it's just not your reality. So being very proud of your energy and managing your day in a way that suits you. I'm not going to turn around to you and say, you need to do this and need to do that. I am not a teacher. I keep repeating this all of the way through. I'm a guide while we go into the shit and deal with it. So I've gone on a bit of a tangent, as I tend to do, but that's where the origins of it all came from. That I like conclusions to things, and if I've not got the answer very, very quickly, then the high likelihood is, as an overthinker and an overanalyst, I'm not going to get one. So I dump it. I get rid of it. I don't want anybody else to experience that experience. So if I can be the tour guide around it, then that is my preaching from my pulpit. And on that, I'll shut up and give you a chance.
I think that you are an amazing tour guide. I think, you know, the guidance that you provide is it's different from what I do. You know, obviously we're not in lockstep, but I think you know, not being the candy floss reader, and I agree with you. You know, I have a lot of people that come to me for, you know, terrestrial readings, like, when am I going to meet the man of my dreams? When am I going to get the job of my dreams? You know, and I can kind of guide them, but you're absolutely right. You know, we have to provide, you know, it's almost like the GPS. Like, remember years ago when we had to print out our directions from MapQuest, or you know, it's, you know, we provide a guide for them. And so, you know, when we have situations that are more challenging energetically, or with your soul contract, when we have those challenges, you know, sometimes it's hard for people to say, okay, you know, I really had you know, an ish person in my life, and you know, I'm just going to be resentful. So, you know, and I do see this. I have a friend that was in a relationship, you know, a budding relationship, and one of the other individuals said, you know, I'm not going to continue this. I'm not interested. And that, you know, my friend is having a lot of trouble letting go, and having a lot of trouble saying, well, you know, that was a situation that didn't work out. That's a situation that, you know, I didn't need to be in, that wasn't going to work out. They're kind of hanging on to that, and hanging on to the anger about the situation, and you know, the loss of that. So, you know, how I frame it is, you know, I've had, prior to getting married to Greg, I had, you know, two significant adult relationships that resulted in children. You know, actually one resulted in children, the other one didn't. But yeah, you know, did those relationships fail me to a certain extent? Yes, they did. You know, I tried as hard as I could. But the reality, I got wonderful children out of the one circumstance. The other circumstance, I was able to travel the world, you know. If they didn't meet my expectations, like, and I know that sounds kind of snobby, like I'm going back to that gold digger business, but you know, they didn't meet my expectations, or we diverted paths and went to a different thing. I still have to find where I'm grateful, And I still, it's one thing to be grateful, but it's another thing to release those situations with love. So for my friend who, had the failed relationship, my advice for her is, that there was something about that other person that you really loved at one point. Be happy for them that they have moved on with someone else. Be happy that, they're embarking on something, because it frees you up to meet someone who is more in alignment with you. Let them go with love. Let them go. I love the pink blanket. I think it's fantastic. So, today I want to encourage everyone to find a pink blanket. Find some kind of pink. It can be foam, it can be slime, it can be a blanket, it can be a fuzzy blanket, it can be a scratchy blanket, whatever. Find your pink blanket and throw that out today to that one person that maybe really didn't serve you best terrestrially. They may have served you best. If they serve you poorly terrestrially, they may have served you well energetically and with your soul. They may have served you well. It may have been there. We don't have difficult people in our lives for no reason. It's not that you just turned down the wrong way and you walked into, an alleyway and there's this terrible person. You're meeting them for a reason. Everything is happening for a reason. You made plans with this. Oh, grumpy sapper. A tin of pink salmon. That would work. Send out some pink salmon. Some people would love that. But I challenge everyone, call to action today is you're going to send, when this show's over, take a few minutes to meditate, or if you can do it right now while we're talking, just envision that person and wrap them in a tin of pink salmon or some pink jelly or pink slime or a pink blanket that's soft as a cloud, pink cloud around them, pink light, whatever you got, whatever works best for you. And I think that every day we should find that one person that maybe gave us a little grit in our day. The person who honked the horn at us because they thought we were waiting too long at the traffic light. The kid that, wasn't very grateful that you did their laundry the day before, I didn't do my kids' laundry yesterday. They're not in trouble with me. But find that one person in your life, or the one thing that, didn't go right, or wasn't in alignment with your agenda for the day, and throw some pink on them. And I want you to really feel it. Like, this is the trick. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, with his meditations, his manifestation meditation, one of the things is that he says, when you're envisioning and we're going to be talking about mastering visualization next week. When you're trying to visualize and craft a future that you're goaling for, when you're energetically preparing for that, and getting your entire being, your terrestrial being and your energetic being ready for that, you need to really feel that gratitude. You really need to feel that thing has happened. So if you want the job of your dreams, when you sit down and you start to do your meditation, you have to craft the emotion that you are going to feel when you get that job, the emotion that you would have when you get that first direct deposit or that first paper check. Some people get a paper check. I just had Greg in the last few years switch from paper checks to direct deposit. I was like, why are you getting a check? I thought it was crazy. But you have to actually feel that feeling. And that takes some practice. This concept of throwing out a universal, a bomb of love to the people in our lives, good and bad. We're talking about the people that maybe have not served us very well, because that's a little bit trickier. It's real easy to throw a pink blanket on somebody who you get along great with. Like that's easy. I mean, I lavish love on the people that I'm going strong with. But when I have those challenging situations, example, both of us have social media accounts. Every now and then I get somebody in the comments who goes, "You're wrong," and like causes a whole ruckus with me. Every now and then I get somebody in there. And my philosophy, all comments are welcome on my YouTube channel. I am an internet psychic. Someone is going to take an issue with something that I'm saying, because this is my psychic opinion. So, we do get people in there that say, well, you're out of your mind, King Charles is really, a lizard person, or Beyonce is, the so and so of the great cabal. Like I get people that will step to me like that and go, you're wrong, you're wrong. And that's okay, because maybe they are, and maybe that's not what I'm focused on. So those people, I'm like, hey, you know what? Thanks for your comment. Thanks for the engagement. I'm glad you watched my video. I'm glad you took the time. It was, I understand it was 20 minutes of your life that you didn't agree with. I hope you have a great day. And if they take umbrage with me personally, I'm like, I hope your day gets better, because you're picking on me. Like, clearly you've got some kind of issue is going on. So I think the people that are not in alignment with us, is much harder to show them, shower them with love, and throw some of that energetic love out at them, than it is the people that we really are fond of, So I think so again, everybody, call to action at the end of the show. Take a few minutes, just calm yourself, few breaths, and then send out some love. Send out a pink blanket to somebody that is maybe rubbing you the wrong way. Mary, who sits in the cube next to you at work and chews loudly, and talks to her friends on the phone all day long. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, my eye twitch too. We all had one of them. I was that one in the office because I talk really loud. So I was the one that drove everybody crazy. I would get messages, "Can you not talk so loud?" I'm like, I'm selling stuff here. I gotta talk loud. I'm sorry, gotta be me. But I think trying to do that, and the more we do it, because here we are, talking about the theme of these the Rhonda Byrne books is really about the power of attraction. To harness that power of attraction, the more we put out, the more we feel, the more we generate from these little battery cells that we are, terrestrial and energetically. The more that we put out, the more that it's going to come back to us. So if we have gratitude for the bills that we receive, if we have gratitude for the challenging people that may come to us, like Rick and I, we have some clients that are more challenging than others. We have clients that are great. For example, like last night, I had a very late night client, and I'm not upset about that. She's one of my best clients. I'm very fond of her. And when when we set up this late night reading, I was like, absolutely not a problem. Some people may go, "Oh, it's Sunday night. It's late. I just got back from picking up my son. Like, I'm not going to stay up late." Absolutely not. I have gratitude for that. Like, I adore every single one of my clients. I will take my time with them. If they are going to come to me, if they're going to be attracted to me for guidance, I am going to be grateful for every single one of them. I was talking about the weird chain of events that happened to put all of us together on the Psychic News Report. And there's a common person that connected a few of us. And I'm not talking about Trevor. Trevor did connect us, but there's another person who is outside of the whole organization who did connect us, who is no longer very friendly with me. And I'm not sure why that is, but I still send out a lot of love. I still, I'm still grateful for that. And sometimes it's sometimes you just got to kind of blanket that out there. So I kind of went far afield. Now I'm the ranter today. So I just think it's going to be putting that out there, sending out those kinds of like, again, my toxic positivity. I'm going to send that toxic positivity out there. And again, it's an experiment for the next few months that I'm doing, but that's going to bring it back. That's going to bring back that kind, like, and not that I want to have toxically positive people around me, but I do want to have people that are uplifted. And that's, one of the reasons that, that we are doing this. And then Grumpy Sapper in there, and I do our Grumpy Sapper. There he is. And then I met you. Absolutely. So Rick, do we want to pull a couple of vibration cards before we start to wrap it up for today?
Yeah, can I just put something in there just on
Absolutely,
what you were saying there? Right. So the whole idea with this thing there is talking about your vibration and your energy frequency. And when we've got difficult situations, if you look at that, they're vibrating on that frequency, you're vibrating on that frequency. Their frequency is, that's what they always bring to you. You learn your lessons and you decide for whatever reason that it's time to move on with something. Now that vibration from the person that's involved in that environment is still going to stay there, but you've decided to raise your vibration. So my version of when people come to me for any advice and guidance is that people who come to me at the level that I'm at are either on my vibrational frequency or they're slightly below. Now, that's not being grandiose or anything like that, but I will be the teacher for that teachable moment. So if they're below me on that frequency, I will bring them up to where they need to be. Their next teachable moment will come from somebody who's at a higher vibrational frequency than me. So they will go to them, and then this is how your enhancement comes in. If you start to recognize people around you that every time that they come to you with something, it's like, life's such an effort. You can actually feel it in their speech. You don't have to actually hear and talk. Oh, here they come again. It's just like like a pile of blancmange that just drops into your seat next to you. Like, how are you? Oh, and you just think, I didn't ask for your life story. I was just being polite. Okay, but when they bring in their freak, I get it all of the time because for some reason I must put out that please come and empty everything, and I don't even know you, but they sit there and I go, all right, so you're having a bad time, blah, blah, blah. And I do my best. So the difficulties that I've had during my life, I don't wish any of them any animosity, because obviously my part in their life was to boost them and lift them. Once they found whatever it is that they're looking for that's not in me, they move on. So it's practicing gratitude for that. I played my part in their storyline, and they move on. Why do I need to consistently go back and look at it? Well, the answer is I don't. I can still feel the hurt, which is absolutely true, because there's some horrible things out there, the stories that I could tell you, but it serves me no purpose going forward. So just look at the energy vibration that you're putting out into the universe, because the universe can only reflect back at you what you show it. So it was always put to me that if you're impatient, you're going to have more opportunities in life to learn patience. That's why the majority of my life's lessons at the moment involve learning patience, because I have zero. Very irritable, very grumpy with people at times. And it's going, right, well, you're obviously not learning. So I get more to look at, which it goes round in full circle, because I get irritated because I haven't got the patience. Right, you're not getting this. So I keep going round that circle. So at some point, I've got to change my frequency. And I'm using the word got to, because if I'm not learning and I'm getting all of this negativity and this anger and this stuff that's giving me no productivity, I'm still investing my life's hours into it.
Yeah.
So at some point, I have got to want to generate a different path, and I do. So when this moments come to me vibrationally, What are they teaching me? It's not about how I feel. What is it teaching me? Is there anything I need to let go of? With me, yes, it's irritability about the person that chews loudly, people there that want to push their opinions on you, people there that want to structure your life for you. And I go, you picked the wrong person, right? Because if that lesson's there to just say to just notice that you are pissing me off, sorry if that's not the correct terminology,
That's
then
okay.
what I've learned is that I need to think better about myself, because my life went on before I met all of these so-called internet gurus, do you know what I mean, that come in and tell you, oh, your opinion's wrong, what you're doing, how you're structuring your life, based on what? Who died and made you king or queen of the world? No, absolutely nobody. So the only way that that can affect me is if I allow it to. So if your only lesson during the day when somebody's issed you off is that you've just gone, do you know what, I would have done it better, or I would have done it in a different way, or that's irritated me because, then you've learned something. Once you've learned from it, put it in the trash bin, or the effort bucket as I like to call it, and move on. Right, cards. Just went off on my tangent there.
No, that's okay. And it's I totally agree with all of that. Like we well,
What we got? What we got?
I just hit my microphone.
Oh, now we can't say too much, but this was an off-air discussion, and we both agreed on this. And wow, that's kind of like quantified that, hasn't it?
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
and to be sure, that was we're not going to go into detail, but the relationships are assignments. So I think it's really interesting what you just said about the whole vibrational thing, because sometimes when a relationship doesn't work, like the relationship that I was talking about with one of my girlfriends, when the relationship doesn't align, sometimes it's because you're vibrating differently. There are adult relationships. I read this in a psychology article, and they said adult relationships typically have like a 7-year cycle. The casual kind of social relationships usually have like a 7-year cycle, the ones that you establish after you are well into adulthood. And I'm very fortunate. My closest girlfriends I've known since grade school. I've known them. One of my closest girlfriends I went to kindergarten with. We've gone a long time together. But sometimes you fall out with people, and that's usually because you've kind of learned your lesson. You've handed in the assignment, and now you are moving on to the next assignment, or the next grade level, or the next task at hand. So I think that relationships are assignments. Sometimes that assignment, again, going back to our theme today, may be to love in the face of adversity, love in the face of not getting what you want from that particular relationship. um maybe you're in a relationship with someone and you fall more into the sister category. Maybe you fall more into the romantic partner category, and you really wanted just someone to be a sister like person, or a brother like person, or an older family member, someone who provides counsel. Letting go, hitting the wall of disappointment with relationships. If you don't get what you want, and we've all been in that situation of unrequited love. We've all had that situation where you found somebody who you were real keen on, and they just weren't keen on you. And I'd actually had a conversation with another one of my friends last night, and I said, when I was in my 20s, I was the gal that dated somebody, like fell head over heels in love with them, and they dated me for a little while, then broke up with me, then got engaged like in the next relationship. And it was so bad, because I the first time I got married, I was 27, but I thought I was an old maid. Like, So my aunt even said to me, she was like, "Who dealt you the old maid card?" I was like, "Oh God, like, did I get the old maid card?" In retrospect, I should have waited until I was in my 30s. I didn't have to get married when I was in my 20s, but my one sister had got married at like 22. The other sister, I think, was 24 or 25 when she got married. So like everybody's kind of looking at me at 27, like I was getting a little long in the tooth. But all of those relationships, and I actually had spoken with this friend about it. I said, I'm really grateful for that, because had I gotten married when I was younger, had I had any of those gentlemen locked it down with me, I probably would have had kids a lot younger, and I wouldn't have traveled. I wouldn't have done all these really cool things that I did get to do. Especially with my first husband, we did a great deal of traveling. I got to see a lot of cool stuff with him. So, the relationships being assignments and releasing them with love. Okay, I'm good with this. I got the message, and if the message is disappointment, so be it. Throw out some love to them. There you go. There, you don't have to call them up and tell them that. Like, this is not about, putting yourself on the chopping block and just being like, I'm releasing your love. You don't have to do that. This is just sending out the energetics so that you can use this situation. You can rise above, not terrestrially, but energetically. You can rise above that and evolve your spirit to give that grace to someone. So this is going to stay on my desk all week. This is going to be my card for the rest of the week. So Rick, I'm going to pull one for you. This is going to be your raise your vibration card for the week. Forgiveness brings freedom.
It's true.
This one has been coming up for every client that I've talked to over the last week. Every friend that I've pulled a card for, this is like come up. This has been, and this is your green. This is Grumpy. Yeah. There's your green tie.
The other thing with the other thing with that card, and I'll bring this up. So naturally, you as the teacher and as the person that is the spiritual conduit has put that out for somebody else. So forgiving circumstances that have been around you, things that have happened to other people. This is the lesson that I am struggling with at the moment, right? It's not about who did what to me. It's forgiving myself for opportunities missed, how I looked at things in the past, why I've associated myself with these difficult types of people, why I haven't stepped into, but it all becomes this mishmash of candy floss and crap. And again, I'm back to my original thought of going, well, the answer is simple. I didn't do any of that just because I didn't. So that forgiveness is essential for your own well-being. So forgiveness of the self. So that's what I'm going to take from that card, is not about who did what to me or why I responded in that way. It is just saying, well, it was part of my evolution. Thank my teacher. And I forgive myself for falling short, because the brilliant thing with all of us is that we learn in retrospect, right? So, well, I'll tell you what, if that had been me, I'd have done so-and-so. Well, no, you wouldn't, because you weren't in my life. You didn't understand me. You didn't know me. And if I put that into your life, you'd obviously handle it in your own way, but it's not my life. So I forgive myself for not knowing what I now know now, because there's certain lessons that I've learned in a hard way over the years that now, with 52 years of experience behind me, I wouldn't have handled the situation in that way. I wouldn't have put myself in some of these situations, but I did. So I forgive my younger self because he's taught me a lot. And it's embracing your inner being. And this is the key thing with all of this: faults, warts and all, mistakes, triumphs, tragedies, all of that, and saying thank you. And if you feel that you fell short of the mark in any way, shape or form, just take from it that you will do better the next time you've got the opportunity, because you'll have got more knowledge. So what I'm taking from that is self-forgiveness. And I think that is a real important for me. I've forgiven everybody else in that sense, because it will not happen again. Maybe I'll have to learn some other lessons further on down the line, but the previous lessons are all logged up there. If you get caught once, yes, okay, we can be sort of liable to distraction or being manipulated because we're busy-minded. If you get caught twice with exactly the same thing but with a different player in the role, then you've got to start looking at what you're doing. If you get caught a third time, that's a pattern and it's on you. So
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to take for that. So thank you for that. And green for me is all about your heart chakra and your emotional side, and a bit of love there as well, a bit of self-love in there as well. So the chakra itself is green stroke pink. So I think it's kind of appropriate, the line that we've gone down there.
So I'm gonna stick this one up here too. So I've got our two cards up here today. So everybody's got their walking papers for today. So we all have to throw out a pink blanket. Next week, we're going to be talking about mastering visualization. I can't even say it today. So it's going to, we're going to talk about some techniques for really creating those visual, vivid kind of images. So it's going to be kind of neat. So, we may take a few minutes and do a little meditation. So I think Rick and I will talk about that a little bit more. I think we should kind of incorporate like maybe a 5-minute meditation in this, instead of, I have a feeling that people unplug from this and they have to jump right back into their regular lives. So maybe we should take this show and just give people a little bit of time to meditate. We are streaming to our new channel, the Psychic News Report. So if you're not subscribed, we are really pushing for subscribership over there. Really, the channel is taking off beautifully. We've got a lot of plans for it. One of the things that I'm going to sit down this week, I'm going to do content calendars, because I'm juggling content for two channels, and it's making me a little bananas. So I'm kind of end to end and still trying to manage my family. And Greg said something about being hungry the other day, and there was no food in the fridge. So there was nothing. There was food in the fridge. It just wasn't cooked food. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not really doing my job. So I am kind of juggling a few things, but we will, of course, be live on Thursday at 1 p.m. New York time. Is that 5 p.m. your
6
time?
p.m. 6 p.m. UK time.
Okay. So 6 p.m. UK time. I love this time though, because I really do get a lot of chat with your UK people, with your followers. So it's nice to have that. But we are live streaming to my channel, Rick's channel, and also to PNR. We're trying to make this a little feature show on there as well, so we get 2 nice lives in for the week. So you get to be uplifted on this one, and then on Thursday you're going to get the news, and we have a lot to talk about this week. The Iranian president, Julian Assange. There's a lot on the table this week. So I think it's going to get really curious. We had the Diddy video that came out, and then we had the Diddy video apology that came out. So I have a feeling we're going to have a busy week this week. So I'm curious what Thor's scopes are going to say about it. So should be pretty cool. As always, thank you to our amazing mods, TD, Grumpy Sapper. Thank you so much, guys, for being in the chats and directing traffic on this. We love you. You're like our air traffic controllers. So, Rick, anything else you want to say for today before we sign off and I head to A&E?
just gratitude to everybody. Thanks to Grumpy for the lead into the cave. So if anybody wants to go and check out the cave, that was really cool, going in there, because accepted, nobody knew me, but got a shout out on there and listened to some great music, great memories there as well. We're doing some work with Thor, where we were recording on Wednesday night. Is it my time? So we're
I think so.
Things coming in the background. I'm not one of these that, oh gosh, it's all going on in the background, but there's lots of things that we're putting our heads together to see what we can come up with. But I do want to quash a rumor before I go. I am not an alien that's on a spaceship circling outer space. I am not AI generated. I am Rick Paul in the middle of Lincoln.
Who said that? Did somebody say that?
Oh, yeah, again, on one of my things the other day, that this guy is actually a humanoid, sorry, an alien wearing a humanoid suit. Right? I'm bald. I have no hair. That is it. There's no lizard people or any other weirdness going on. I am the gob on the stick that is always available for people. Make that connection with me and look at Anna's work. And I'm just one of these that I'm just grateful for being in this vibration and having the opportunity to do it. But I'm a human being. At the end of the day, we all struggle. So I'm sending out lots of pink blankets for you. Grumpy Sapper, I'm going to throw a tin of pink salmon at you, but I am actually going to take it out of the tin. How you receive it, that's up to you. But thank you very much for indulging me once again, and it's been brilliant.
I'll send Grumpy Sapper some of our New Jersey bagels and cream cheese, and he can put that together with that pink salmon and have a delicious breakfast tomorrow. So, as always, I think you're out of this world. See what I did there? So thanks everybody for being here. As always, you can find Rick if you want to get a reading with him at mediumrick007@gmail.com. You can go to fortunecookiestarot.com if you want to contact me. There is contact information in the description of this video, but we have lots of amazing stuff that's going to go on this week, and the new channel is just going to be building and building and building, and we're going to be uplifting everybody and making sure you guys have a great energetic life and a great terrestrial life. So we will see you guys on Thursday, but we'll also see you next Monday, and we'll be talking about visualization, so get ready for it. Have a great day, everybody.